would shovel the sheep manure onto the trailers and put it into the field, and at the end of the day, all that wind and dust and the sheep manure would be blowing over me in dust, and my teeth would be covered with this dust that would stick to my teeth. So, you have to be willing to get out there and get dirty and do it. And if you don't have money, then you have to do it a lot more by yourself. I did get a donation at some point. I had asked someone, I'd explained what we were doing, why we were doing it, how we were doing it, and somebody donated what I would say a pretty modest donation. They said, here's $25,000 for irrigation to do so much land. I had presented a proposal to do a certain amount. And then when I got that money, I worked hard to get my prices down and everything. I almost doubled the land that I had said I would irrigate from that donation. This is something in donor relations people need to understand. When you present something to a donor and they actually give money to your project, and then you say, oh, good, they like my project. Tomorrow I will go and ask for more. This is hard on donors. They don't like that. They prefer you to, if you receive donor money, to show them that you will go farther than you said that you would go. Go the extra mile. Produce more than you said you would. And limit how much you're going to request from them. Actually, I was in Ethiopia, was it last year or early this year? And someone presented a class on donor relations while I was there. And he said, you need to have at least 3 good interactions with your donor for every single request. That means you spend, you give them a report. You have a social visit. You have some other kind of visit at least 3 times before you ask for anything. And then don't ask for anything again until you've had at least 3 more good interactions with them. So, anyway, we worked hard and began planting avocados. And another thing I would like to add into there is there's a lot of providence that came into the picture. What we did, we could not have done by ourselves, but the Lord opened many doors. My house has a glass front door, and the front door is into the living room, and then my office is behind it. And so one day I was sitting at my desk in the office, and it's open to the living room, and I could see the front door. And there was a knock at the door. And there's a gate, and I have dogs, and I was kind of surprised that someone reached my door I didn't hear the gate or the dogs. But anyway, someone was at my door, and I turned to look, and there was a man, a white South African standing at my door who I had never seen before. And so I answered the door, and he introduced himself. He said, hi, my name is Zach Bard. I am the president of the World Avocado Association, and I heard you're doing something with avocados here, and I just came to check it out. I thought, wow, this is not a small guy in the avocado world. In fact, he was also one of the high management in the largest avocado distributors in the world. And there he was at my front door. And so we invited him in, and I spent the day showing him what we do. And at the end of the day, he told me, he says, well, when I came here, I'd heard you were doing something. He said, but when I came, I was traveling here, he said, this didn't look like avocado country. He said, in my mind, this was not avocado country. You don't grow avocados here. But after seeing what you're doing, he said, I'm pretty convinced you're in a very good position to grow avocados and to sell them at a time when the prices will be better. And we started a little relationship that day that's still going today with that company. And he coached us on so many of the issues and challenges we face. And I think I couldn't have arranged that. There's no way I could even have known, but supposing I knew which company knew a lot about avocados, to attract attention, to say, hey, here I am, I'm doing avocados, help me, I think would have been nearly impossible. But the Lord arranged it that they found us. And they came and helped us, they held our hands, and today that company is our biggest customer. They buy almost all the avocados we produce. And not only that, when we get into cash-tight situations, they're always willing to give us a season advance to help us, like buy packaging material or things like that. Not small amounts, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's been a real blessing. So we started small. My idea was if we could plant 10,000 trees, 10,000 avocado trees. I did the math. You get so many kilos per tree, and so many trees, that means you're going to have so many tons. And I did all the calculations. We're going to have so much profit, and use that profit. It's enough to sponsor our mission work. I had no idea the cost of farming. And so ignorance is bliss. We started. I had that $25,000. We planted avocados. By the time you see this picture here, that vision had grown. And let me tell you another little story. The same donor who gave the $25,000, he had never visited us. And so he visited one day. He landed on a Friday afternoon, and he left on a Sunday morning. So basically we had Sabbath with him, right? Not a great time for showing him farm operations, but we showed him around a little bit on Friday, spent the Sabbath going to a village church, and Saturday evening, we sat at the table. He said, okay, tell me what you need. He was quite a wealthy man, and I had thought about this ahead of time, and I knew that we needed more money to pull this project off. So I said, well, for reasons A, B, C, we really need $100,000. And he pushed his chair back, and he leaned back, and he said, you will never get that. I said, okay, well, you asked me what I needed, and so that's what I need. But what did you have in mind? He says, well, in your mission, I see you have this agriculture school, and you help young people who have dropped out of school. He said, you have 2 boys' dorms and 1 girls' dorm, and it looks like you need more help with your girls. He said, I think we should work on a project to build a girls' dorm to increase your capacity for girls. And I said, great, let's do that. And so we began drawing up a proposal for what another girls' dorm would look like, and we would be able to accept. In the end, we built a girls' dorm that would take 42 more girls into our program. That's been a big blessing. Sunday morning, I'm driving him to the airport. We pass a stream on our farm, and I said, someday I'm going to have a dam on this stream, and this water is going to supply irrigation water for the fields you see above. He didn't say anything, and we went to the airport, and off he went. I don't know, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. I think it was about 2 weeks later. I got a phone call. He had been traveling in different countries, and he was in Zambia. He had gone to Victoria Falls, and at Victoria Falls, just happened to run into somebody he knew on the Victoria Falls Bridge. It's someone who lives here in Kenya. His name is Andy Aho. I don't know if anyone has heard of, is it West Mara? Anyway, there's a Seventh-day Adventist project somewhere in West Mara run by an American man. Anyway, it was that man. And as the two met, they talked, and this Andy Aho had explained that he was living in Maasai land there. He was building a lot of dams for the Maasai, and this donor got the idea. He's like, oh, Jason at Kibidula told me that he wanted a dam on his stream. So he called me. He's like, I think this is providence. I just met this man, and he builds dams in Kenya. Maybe he can come to Kibidula and build you a dam. The dams this man builds in Kenya are very small, simple dams where a stream flows, and he just pushes some earth up with a bulldozer and holds some water after the rains, and it's good for the Maasai to be able to water their cows. But what we needed was a much larger dam to hold a lot of water, and big project. So eventually, although we concluded that this Andy from Kenya was not the man, but it got the donor thinking. And so we eventually hired an engineer from Zimbabwe who built large commercial dams. And he came to Kibidula. And over the course of time, that donor, remember he had said when I said, I need $100,000, and he said no? He spent about $160,000 building this large commercial dam. And then when he had this big dam built, and you can see these are pictures of, just what it takes to build a dam. So a lot of earth moving and equipment, and it was a great opportunity for us not only to learn how to build dams, but to involve my children in learning. And so my oldest daughter was the dump truck operator. My second daughter was the excavator operator. And together they made a great team of moving soil for the dam. But now that we had a big expensive dam built and a nice lake of blue water, if you keep the pictures going, you'll see eventually a blue water dam. Are we getting a new picture? Yeah, there it is. So we have about 340 million cubic meters of water in that dam, which is enough to irrigate our whole avocado farm for about a year if it didn't rain. So that's a big blessing. So the donor asked the question. He says, we have this big dam. What kind of a pump does it take to move water from that dam to your fields? And we began this back and forth discussion. Do we get diesel pumps? Do we get electric? But we don't have electricity at our place. I spoke to the electric company. It would cost a huge a huge amount of money to get electricity to our farm. And so eventually we concluded a solar pump. Now, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there's some solar panels there. We have about a 78,000 watt solar system there that powers two pumps, and they pump about 1.5 million liters of water a day to the farm. And then the question was, if you have 1.5 million liters of water a day, how many trees can you water? And so we did calculations, and eventually this donor ended up putting more than $2 million into the farm. And that's why I say, whatever we did, we can't claim like we did anything great. No, the Lord did it all. He provided the donor, He provided the funds, He provided the soil, the land, even the ability to get the water. Water in Africa is a bit scarce sometimes and very valuable. The water on Kibidula farm is all found, it's all coming out of the ground within the farm from springs. And there's these valleys in the farm, And we've now made 4 dams, and we just make that earth wall and block the water and hold it up in the valley. And I just think the Lord in his providence knew exactly what Kibidula would need in its future. In fact, I believe even that poor soil is a blessing, because here in Kenya, I think there are places where you have really good soil and rain, right? I think around Kisii, it's like a lot of production happens there. Try buying a farm. How much money is it to buy a farm there? But here we have an almost 5,000 acre farm that nobody really wanted. Why? The soil was useless. You could hardly grow anything there. However, avocado trees do grow pretty well in poor soil. So the Lord knew if it was very good land, we would not have that land. That's just a picture of the solar-powered pumps in place. That's the water being pumped up into a reservoir up on a hill, and then from there it goes gravity feed to the avocado fields. There's moving forward, keep going forward. Okay, right there. Marketing. Remember, my first thought was local market. So in the early days, we would pick the avocados from the field, put them on the ground, and we would put the little sticker on every avocado. Why the sticker? Because people in the market really didn't know the difference between our avocados and the other local avocados. However, the taste was very different. And my thought was, if we could convince people or get people to try our avocados and realize they were superior, they would always want to eat a Kibidula avocado over other avocados. So once we had a small production going, I would load the pickup and go to town, and I went to the market and I was like, you need to try these avocados. And they're like, we don't buy our avocados in crates. We get them in sacks. It's like, oh, okay. They get these sacks full of avocados, 100 kg, 200 kg, very cheap. When they open those sacks, they're all bruised and crushed and rotting, and it's a very different picture. And I tried to present the idea that, look, those avocados, you have huge losses, and so you're going to pay very little. These avocados, every avocado is going to be sold. You're not going to lose them. And so people didn't want to. Finally, I convinced one marketeer. She was one of these ladies who carries a big basket on her head, and she walks around the community and sells, one fruit at a time. She said, I'll try it. And very shortly, she had a big following of customers who wanted only these avocados. In fact, she was pricing her avocados much higher than anyone else, and still everyone went to her. Very soon, she no longer carried that basket. She was now an agent. She sat in one place. I delivered avocados, and she sold them to all the marketeers. And it changed her life. And it also started moving a lot of avocados on our behalf. Every Sunday, there's a Sunday market. I remember going to the Sunday market and just checking how things are going, and someone had their pile of Kibidula avocados, and someone right next to them had their pile of local avocados. Kibidula avocados were priced 10 times higher than the local avocados. And I'm watching. Nobody is interested in the local avocados. They all wanted the Kibidula avocados. Not only because, the commercial varieties are better flavored, have more fat content, but also I believe customer service really counts. In the previous session, we were told that service first and profits second, and that's very true. A lot of people have this idea that you really need to make your business work financially first. And so I've seen in the avocado world a lot of people looking at market prices. When the market is high, that's when they pick avocados and sell. And when the market is low, they tend to hold back. However, what we have learned is actually you need to look at the trees. When are the trees ready? When is the avocados ready to be sold? When the avocados are ready, that's when you bring them to market, not when the market is good, because usually the market is high. The prices are high because the avocados are not really ready. And so our idea was, when your product is right, sell your product as a good product. If the product is not right, even no matter how good the price is, don't offer an inferior product. And people began to realize that Kibidula's avocados, whenever they were on the market, it was because they were actually ready and they were a quality product. And we put a lot of energy into making sure that there was no bruising. I would tell the workers when they're picking avocados, like, what are you picking? And they would say, we're picking avocados. No, we're picking eggs. Okay? Treat them like eggs. No dropping, no pouring from one bucket to another. Everything has to be placed gently. And then when the customer finally gets their avocado and it ripens, there's no bruises. And they begin to trust that this product, when they buy it, even if they're paying more, this is a valuable product. And they are not being cheated out of their money. Eventually, this didn't work for us. The local market became flooded with local avocados, and we built a pack house. If we keep going forward in pictures, I think we'll come to some pack house pictures. That was me taking avocados to town. Those are harvesting. That's the product. And okay, right there. That's our pack house. So we started sorting our avocados on the ground, putting them into a few trays, carrying them into town. But eventually we got into the export market. Through our connection to that person who came to my house, we began exporting avocados to Europe. Now, I had no idea how the import-export market, all the red tape, it's a big deal. There's a lot of complications. You need certifications, you need certificates, and I just felt like we were drowning. But fortunately, there was people who've been down that road before. They were able to help us hold our hands and get us able to export our avocados. And when we got the pack house built and our pack line in place, that's when COVID came, 2020. And the Lord is good. You know, Tanzania did not shut down like Kenya or many countries did. Tanzania pretty much stayed open for business and very few restrictions on people. Actually, the president at the time said, there is no COVID, so live life as usual. And we did. But nobody, the people who were going to come and help us do our first packing experience could not come from South Africa. So there we were, what's up packing? You know, we started the machine and, you know, they're explaining, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. And our first container, it took us a whole week to pack that container. And it just seemed like we could never get that thing filled. It takes a lot of avocados to fill a container. And our fruit, because of the soil conditions of our place, our fruit are more round than elongated. And the round fruit didn't fit well into the standardized avocado cartons. And so I was nearly pulling my hair out or crying or something, trying to figure out how do we get these avocados packed in these boxes to fit in the container. But at the end of a week, praise the Lord, we packed our first container and shipped it to Europe. It got lost somewhere on the way. They unloaded it in some port in the Middle East. It spent a few weeks there before it got found and put on another ship, and it went to Europe. 2 months en route. Now that's way too long for avocados. Avocados is fresh fruit, right? But when the avocados reached there and they opened the container up, the avocados were still in good shape. Praise the Lord. They all got sold, and we received our money. That was our first container load. It was quite an experience. The next year, I think we went from 1 container to 7 containers, and last year we did 95 containers. And this year it looks like we're on schedule to do about 120 containers. And the Lord is blessing. It's a lot of work. But here I am, able to come to Nairobi, and the work is going on without me. How is that happening? God is good. He provides the right people. And I'm pretty limited in my abilities. So I'm not able to manage. At this point, we have 200 workers in the avocado business. And I have managers and accountants and people who, whether I'm there or not, the work carries on just as well without me, actually. And so God has blessed me with a good team. I say they make me look good because without them, I would be struggling a lot. Aside from the core avocado export business that we have, and so today we don't send to Europe anymore. I think that window is almost closed. Today our main market is India and the Middle East. And we were one of the first companies to export avocados into India. And again, that South African partner was one of the first avocado distributing companies to set up an office in India. And so we had a great partnership starting out. We were sending to them, they were distributing across India. And India was a very small market at the time. Even though they have 1.4 billion people, Indians don't know avocados. So a few people were learning to eat avocados, and basically we could send about 1 container a week to India. The next year we could send 2 containers a week. Last year we were sending 4 and 5 containers a week. And so that's how the market has been growing in India. But something caught us a little bit by surprise. At first we were like the main company sending to India. And then there's the Red Sea crisis. I don't know how many people understand what's going on, but the Houthi rebels, sponsored by Iran, because of what's going on in Israel, decided they would start bombing all the ships passing through the Red Sea that have any Israeli or American interests. So the avocados from Africa, from Tanzania, from Kenya, from South Africa could no longer go through the Red Sea to Europe. That meant that all these other growers in Tanzania who were used to their European market started looking for other markets. And where did they go? India, our market. So our market went from being a high-priced kind of specialty market to a medium, let's hold that for a minute, to a medium and then low-priced market. There's several ways to look at this thing. One way is to say, well, all this competition has crashed our market. That's a negative way, but the positive way to look at it is it's a bit expensive, but it was great promotion. A lot of companies sending cheap avocados to India has expanded the market rapidly. In fact, over a 2-year period, the market has grown almost fivefold in India, the consumption of avocados. 2 years ago, the amount of avocados from Tanzania being sent to India was just about 10%. 10% of the Tanzanian crop was going to India. This year, it looks about 90% of the Tanzanian crop is going into India. The positive is this. Next year, if Tanzania is already at 90%, how many more percent do they have? Only 10% growth, right? But if the Indian market still grows at 120% a year, then they're going to get hungry for avocados because 10% won't be enough. And our prices should go up and the demand should grow up, should increase. So, go back one picture. Okay, this was just 2 weeks ago. 9 truckloads of equipment arrived at Kibidula, and now move to the next picture. There we are unloading a piece of equipment from a container. All of those 9 containers are holding one machine that we have to assemble. And that one machine is an avocado pack line, which will increase from our current capacity of 1 container a day to 5 containers a day. And those 5 containers a day are also, the machine has a sorting. If you look in the middle of the machine, there's a big white thing on top. That's a camera. It takes pictures of every avocados. And remember, there are thousands of avocados going through there an hour. Every avocado is taken pictures of all the way around the fruit. And then there's a big computer that analyzes those pictures and sorts them by computer. So no more the human factor of, one day you're sending too many rejects, and so you go talk to the workers, hey, man, you got to tighten up. We're getting customer complaints. And so the next day you go into the pack house and look at the reject pile, and there's so many good avocados being rejected. And so you're like, hey, guys, you're rejecting too many good avocados. Can you loosen up just a little bit? And then it's back to too many rejects being sent. This machine will take away all that human factor. Now, don't get me wrong. We like the human factor. We employ a lot of people, and it's a huge benefit in our community. We're the biggest employer now in our area. But this machine is not going to eliminate the workers. It's going to actually require more workers because every box is still packed by hand. So all those people who were sorting by hand, they will be packing boxes. So the work continues, and we will actually continue to employ more people, but our customers should be happier now because we will have a very consistent product. And as far as I know, this is the first optical sorting pack line in East Africa. So Kibidula is on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to avocados. The avocado business has also opened up to us other opportunities. So our intention was to grow avocados for sale so that we could have more money for mission. What we realized was having an avocado business opened up more opportunity for mission. We deal with a lot of people in India, South Africa, a lot of product suppliers, and then hundreds of outgrowers. So at this time, we have about 300 outgrowers registered in our program that sell their avocados to Kibidula. And that's a big support to the local farming community, besides the fact that we are hiring 200 people to work on the farm and in the pack house. But besides that, in order to have, or as we started our big avocado orchards, we needed a nursery. So we started a nursery, and then we were growing seedlings for ourselves, and then we began selling those seedlings to everyone who wanted them. it turns out to be a big blessing. We unfortunately early on got a disease into our nursery, and this disease is a disease that plagues all the avocado growing world. And so we started early learning how to manage this disease and overcome it. And when we sell seedlings, we try to ensure that they are disease-free. And when people buy our seedlings, 99.9% of the time they are successful. Unlike so many of the other nurseries around us who are producing disease seedlings and selling them at a low price, and then people buy, a few thousand seedlings, and most of them die. And so we have gotten a really good name in quality because if we have disease seedlings, we always destroy them, and we never sell them. And whereas the other nurseries, they try to give them some medicine, make them look good, and sell them as quickly as possible. And so that's been an opportunity for another business as we do the avocado sales. And then because we have that infrastructure of irrigation and farming, and we've gained in a lot of know-how, at this point we've branched out. We have planted just a couple of acres of apples. And apples is a very hot item in Africa. I know Tanzania is importing about $75 million worth of apples every year. I don't know what Kenya's doing, probably more than that. And so to me, that's like quite an opportunity. And because we're in a very cold climate at Kibidula, much colder than here, we believe apples will do well there. And so we've started that apple experiment. Another one we want to try soon, maybe next year, is blueberries. I don't know, how many people like blueberries? It's a nice fruit to eat, very expensive to buy, and quite labor intensive to produce. But we think there's a lot of labor around us. I think if they can grow well in our area, that would be a great opportunity for our community. And yeah, there's another opportunity that comes with avocados is that all the rejects, where do they go? When you sort your avocados and you can't export them all, usually around 20% end up staying behind. Where do they go? How many people are in the avocado business here? What was that? Cosmetic oil. So oil. Oil is a big thing right now from avocados. So avocado oil is used in not just cosmetics, but food, salads and dressings and all kinds of things. And so although we have not started yet, but that opportunity beckons when the time is right to start an avocado oil production plant. Or guacamole. Do people know what guacamole is here? It's basically mashed avocados with some spices and herbs in there. But we'll see where the Lord leads. I wanted to touch on another area. When we started avocado farming, I personally had said, we are in such poor soil that I do not believe organic farming is even possible near us. You have to put inputs to get outputs. And so I was fully conventional. Today I am very much changed in my opinion. And although we are not 100% organic yet, we are on the road to it. And here's the thing. You are what you eat, right? What do you want to be? Chemicals? In today's world, we have all kinds of diseases and syndromes and health challenges that I don't believe our parents and grandparents even heard of. I don't know how it is here in Kenya. Maybe you're all very healthy. But in Tanzania, there's a lot of cancer around. Like all kinds of cancer. But not only cancer. We know, coming from, I'm Canadian, but Canada and America, same thing. Autism, rampant. There's a lot of autism. But I'm realizing now there's a lot of autism in Tanzania. What are causing these things? Now, it's probably not any one thing, but it's our lifestyle. And if we are what we eat, and if we're eating chemical food a majority of the time, then we are going to be a chemical composition somehow of all these pesticides and herbicides. In farming, modern farming, you get an insect on your farm, start spraying, right? Insecticide. Then a disease comes along, fungicide. We used to cultivate to take the weeds out. Nowadays, herbicide. End result, suicide. Now, it's a direct progression. And even food health, plant health. The reason we are needing so much fungicide is because we started with pesticide, okay? Or chemical fertilizers. For thousands of years, since the flood or since Adam, people have been farming on the same land. There are places in Europe, there's a farm in England that has been continually farming the same crop for over 400 years, every year successfully, organically. But commercial farming around the world, where am I in time? 8 minutes. Oh boy, I better hurry. Generally, where commercial farming happens, you have a window of time before the soil is depleted. And I don't know how it looks around here in Kenya. The dusty lands from here to the border don't look too encouraging. But I know that in Tanzania, in our area where the soils are poor and I will say fragile, people have about 10 years on a new piece of land. Okay? They cut the forest, they plow the land, they add the fertilizer, and in about 10 years, they're going to abandon that land. Why? Diminishing returns. It costs more to grow food than you can get from the food you grow. And every year you have to add more fertilizer. And with more fertilizer comes more pesticide. And with more pesticide comes more fungicide. And even weed pressure changes. On healthy soil, you have limited weed pressure. And the more off balance your soil gets, the more weed pressure you get from different types of weeds. And around us, there's a weed, there's a grass called kidilu. I don't know if you have it here, but it's a very persistent grass, and it's very hard to get rid of unless you use herbicide. All of those things are destroying the life that's in the soil. Where does all energy come from? The sun? How do we get that energy from the sun? Plants. Okay. But plants grow on soil. So plants have leaves with green. The green photosynthesizes sunlight into sugars. And those sugars become food for us. But not only food for us, sugars are carbon chains. Carbon chains get exuded into the soil from the plant roots. That's how soil is built. So when I was in school many years ago, they used to teach that all the leaves and branches, whatever that fell from the plants, they rot on the soil, and that produces topsoil. You know that dark soil? That's good. Today we know that that's only partially true. And they used to say it takes hundreds of years to produce an inch of topsoil. What we know today is that in the right conditions, 3 to 5 years can grow a foot of topsoil. We used to think that topsoil was built from the surface up. Today we know that topsoil is built from the surface down. We just changed the color of the soil that's there by adding carbon. And carbon is put in by plants. Plants that are healthy produce a lot of sugars, not only the ones we eat, but the ones they exude into the soil, and they enrich the soil. As those sugars are exuded into the soil, there is a host of bacteria and fungus and insects of all kinds that live on those sugars and build soil. They also digest the soil granules and make the nutrients plant available. If you start using commercial fertilizers, you start killing those bacteria and fungi that are doing the work in the soil. And pretty soon it becomes a dead soil. You have to put everything in that comes out. But a healthy soil is a soil where the plants, of course, you take some out, but the plants are putting as much in as they take out. And together with that army of millions and billions and trillions of bacteria and fungi moving and working in the soil, they keep the soil healthy and then keep you healthy. Plant leaves turn sunlight into energy. But an unhealthy plant is very inefficient at turning sunlight into energy. And so it's estimated now that plants are generally, farm plants are operating at about 20% efficiency. So if you could get your soil to an optimum health, soil health, you would grow 5 times as much, or use the sunlight coming onto the soil to an extent of 5 times as much, or to produce that much more sugars. And so we are losing our soils world around. However, there are healthy farming methods, and Kibidula is trying to do some. Let's run the little video that started just a couple of minutes ago. There was a video of cows. Forward. Yeah, that video there. Okay, just watch those cows for a few seconds. It's not going to take long. This is, of all places, in the orchard. You can see an electric wire running on the side. And there's about 200 cows there. In a few minutes, those cows will pass, and all that grass will be gone. And there will be cow manure scattered around the whole orchard. And notice how fast those cows are eating. It's because there's so many cows in a small area that they are slightly stressed. And they are competing with each other to eat as fast as they can. Cows in this tight, confined area with a lot of animals together will eat much more than cows by themselves. Okay, so the whole purpose of those cows is not because we want to have a great beef program. The whole purpose is that those cows are turning grass into manure. And manure is much more valuable to the soil than cut grass being laid down on the ground. Why? Because the cow has a digestive system that is full of bacteria to break down the grass. Now, when the cow eliminates that grass onto the land in the form of cow manure, that manure is then, like overnight, is taken by dung beetles and other insects into the soil, and that bacteria now begins to work on the soil in a way that's much more effective than if you just cut the grass down, laid it on the soil, and left it to build soil. And so that's just one of the ways that we are using to build soil there at Kibidula. We're also buying in manure because we don't have enough cows and not enough manure. And then there's a lot of things that one can do. We are making brews in big tanks of water and adding different things to make a liquid compost, basically, and then spray it on the leaves. And the leaves will actually take in a lot of these nutrients more effectively than through the roots. And then when the leaves are more nutritionally balanced, then they do their work more efficiently. And other things we are learning to do is intercropping. So this was in the early attempts, but now we're planting bananas between the avocados. Bananas support mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhizal fungi suppresses the parthenogenetic fungi. So bad fungus is suppressed by good fungus. So we're doing things to encourage good fungus. It's also been understood now that many different types of plants in the same area produce and exude different types of sugars into the soil, which support more varieties of fungus and bacteria. With more varieties doing their work in the soil, you now have a faster soil building system. And we know that monoculture is hard on soil. So having variety of plants on the same land encourages soil building. And then finally, the conventional, traditional way of doing orchard management, spray off all the grass, all the weeds, everything, and you just have avocado trees growing in very nice, clean, beautiful rows. It looks nice, looks impressive, and is time limited. They say the companies, so Mexico is the leading avocado producer in the world, the companies who have gone in with the most money to do it right, okay? They went in to do it right. They used the most chemicals and stuff. Those are the companies that have burned off their land the soonest, and those companies have actually stopped producing avocados today. So the poorer farmers who don't have enough money for the chemicals, they're still farming, and they're making more money now. So we're trying to learn from the poor farmers how to be successful. And I must say, the Lord has ways to keep us humble. So according to our plans, we would be very successful, wealthy avocado growers by now, supporting tons of mission all around the world. But the Lord saw fit to allow us to experience all kinds of troubles and diseases. And we are still learning how to overcome these things. And through the Lord's grace, I believe we are overcoming. But if you came today, you would definitely see disease in our orchard, and we have not succeeded to the extent that we wish and hope that we will. But I do welcome everyone. Come visit. We'll show you what we do and teach you as much as we can, and maybe you can teach us some things too. And I wonder if there's any questions. Any questions? There's a question back there.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I was just wondering, you said that you support some outgrowers who supply to you, and then, what came into my mind is, how do you maintain the Kibidula standard? With, is it the people you have sold the seedlings to, or?
Okay, so we have what we call our own field officers. They visit all the outgrowers on a fairly regular basis. We need to know exactly what they're doing, how they're growing their avocados. And then, of course, when it comes time for harvest, we are there to supervise the harvest. And the avocados come to our pack house. And, of course, we do the sorting there. One of the differences between Kibidula and the other pack houses in the area, so Kibidula, we have our own farm. Most of the pack houses are just buying avocados from other people. They don't have a farm, and that's their business. But what we've also figured out is that they're there to buy the avocados at as low as price as possible. So if you grow avocados, they come to you and they say, hey, the season's almost over. If you don't sell these today, your avocados are all going to be reject. So we're offering you this price. And you say, that's too low. And they say, no. Okay, then you're going to lose your crop. And you get scared and sell them your crop at a low price. What Kibidula has attempted to do is, instead of buying from the farmers, we actually connect them to the market. We charge them the packing fees, and then we get a commission on their profit. And so the higher the price we can get for the grower, the more commission we get. And this puts the farmer in the advantage now. He's getting the best price for his crop that the market will sustain. And therefore, a lot of farmers are wanting to come to us now instead of to the other pack houses. Another question? From Malawi.
Mike.
Maybe I did not. Did you have to be an agriculturalist for you to do this, or you have some background knowledge? I have a whole degree in agriculture, but what you are talking about here is like, yeah, I'm not an agriculturalist anymore. I'm different now. That's one. How do you manage the field sanitation? Because I look at your fields clean, like somebody went and swept, and the sanitation, if it's not well managed, can lead into insects, diseases, and everything. This vast land, how do you manage that in the orchard?
Okay, so I'm not an agriculturalist, although I grew up kind of on farms my whole life. But I'm learning. So I think we'll learn our whole life, and when we get to heaven, we'll keep learning. The science is just starting to understand how plants grow now. But one thing interesting about the whole insect thing, and I've been on these WhatsApp groups, and people take a picture of an insect and say, what dawa do I use for this insect? And here's a ladybug. Ladybugs eat other insects, right? Okay, so if people are afraid of insects, 95 or 97% of all insects are friendly. It's a small minority of insects that are damaging to your crop. Most of them are helpful to you as a farmer. So what kind of a standard I use is, if the insect that has attacked your crop is not affecting more than 15% of your crop, leave them alone. Within a year, some other insect will come and take care of him. Okay? It costs about 15% of your crop just to spray. So the money you save from not spraying every new insect that comes, you make up. Yeah. So there are times when an insect comes that needs to be dealt with. There is one that we deal with on a regular basis called false coddling moth. However, science is great. They've come up with a solution for false coddling moth without spraying. So we just have these small tubes of a gel, and you put, depending on the size of the tree, 1, 2, or 3 drops of gel on the branches of the tree, and it gives off a smell, a pheromone, and the male moths come to that gel when they touch it, because it smells like a female moth. When the male moths touch it, they die. The female moths cannot breed because all the males died, and therefore the females will not lay any eggs. So it's a very non-invasive way of dealing with our biggest pest. But most of the pests, if you give them about a year, they kind of disappear or get under control naturally through nature. Here's the other thing. Early on, I spoke to a farmer in South Africa, and he said, we don't spray anything for insects. Never have, never will. And he says, our neighbors, every new insect that comes along, they're spraying. They're spraying constantly. They have no bats, they have no birds, they have no spiders, they have no friendly insects. It's a sterile environment, but they have more disease and insect pressure than these guys who don't spray anything. Nature usually has a way of taking care of itself. Also, the healthier a plant becomes, the higher the sugar levels in the plant, the less the insects like it. And experiments are done. So aphids have a very low tolerance for sugar. Aphids on plants, you do something that affects the sugar content in the plant, the aphids, because they can't fly away, will just die sitting on the plant. So you spray a plant with milk or molasses, the sugar takes it up, the plant takes it up and increases the sugar content in the plant and kills the aphids in hours. So healthy plants have high sugar content that resists insects by itself. And those pictures you saw of those clean fields with just avocados, that's because they were newly planted. As the trees grew, so did the weeds. And you saw those cows eating weeds. We have weeds in our fields, but we try to knock them down every now and then. Another question? Yes, we have a question here. The mic is coming.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We have somewhat of a background in avocado farming, and 2 questions for you today.
Okay.
Is what's the procedure to come and visit your farm in Tanzania?
Okay.
First question. Second question is what variety do you sell? Because here locally we are advised to do the Hass variety. So I was just wondering what variety that was that you were selling.
Okay. So the procedure is you need a passport, and then you have to figure out how to travel from here to there. It's a long drive, but we do it in one long day, so it's possible. And then, probably communicate with someone of us so that we know you're coming. So we're there. Obviously, if we're not there, then you might get disappointed. We grow, at first we started multi-varieties, thinking local market, different varieties, different times of the year. Local market isn't great. So we began cutting all those other varieties and grafting them, or we call it top working, to Hass. And we have one other variety that we're growing commercially, but we're not happy with it. Eventually, we will only be Hass unless some new variety comes out that's better. But that's unlikely. Yeah, Hass are a good avocado. They're quite well-liked around the world. And I don't know if my time is up, but there's another hand or two.
Thank you, Jason, for your presentation. Indeed, my question is based on moving away from commercial farming. A lot of the farming that we do, as you said, is destroying our soils. And it's, when you see what happened under the soils and see how God created everything to work syncly with each other, it's almost a shame what we do to our soils. What percentage of your farm are you now moving towards creating forest foods? And what would you advise farmers who want to go that direction?
What percent are we?
Are you moving towards creating your forest foods?
Okay.
And what would you advise farmers who want to go down that direction as well?
My advice right now is to start slow, not too fast. It's one thing to move that direction, and it's another thing to jump off a cliff financially. If you move too fast, and I think we moved a little too fast recently, it's a little painful right now financially. Looking at crop losses here and there, and the amount of money we're spending on manure. It's more expensive in the long run than commercial fertilizer, but we're pretty committed. We're moving that direction, planting tens of thousands of banana plants between our avocado trees, cactus, and other varieties of trees. We have some smaller experimental plots that are like 1 hectare here and 1 hectare there, that we're doing a lot more in those areas than in the whole orchard. The whole orchard is 600 acres, and I would say the latest planting was 40 hectares, so 100 acres. That 100 acres is 100% natural. It's never seen chemicals. But on the established orchard, we're using some chemicals, a little bit, yeah. And it takes wisdom, and I think a lot of prayer, just feeling your way forward. But there's a lot of information on the internet. There's a lot of people doing stuff and showing you what they're doing. And definitely learn as much as you can. YouTube, University of YouTube, or it's quite effective. And there was a hand over here.
Thank you very much for that presentation. My area of interest is when you spoke about going the organic way. And mine is a very simple question. With that vast plantation, what challenges have you faced, and maybe how have you overcome them on that journey?
So our biggest challenge that we have in the orchard is a disease. It's a fungal disease called Phytophthora root rot. So it's a fungus that attacks the roots of avocado trees, and the tree health begins to go down. As the tree health goes down, the ability of the tree to fight the disease just goes down, and eventually, the tree turns yellow, it starts losing its leaves pretty soon. Eventually, it will die. One of the ways to fight that disease is through good soil nutrition balance. So if you have the right soil nutrition, the tree tends to be more resistant to the disease. However, chemical fertilizers are the easiest way to maintain the right soil nutritional balance. I believe over time we'll come right naturally with the soil balance. But, the easy way is to get the soil sample, and I think we should still do soil samples, and to figure out what's missing. And you go to the chemical store and you get that fertilizer, and you adjust the soil nutrients. But naturally, it's a whole lot harder. Things don't come in, well, there's specifically this and specifically that in nature. It's a whole process, and it's not fast. So I think moving slow, maybe slower than we moved, but moving slowly towards the ideal is what we need to do. And I believe we live in a sinful world. We won't get ourselves to the Edenic state. So there is something called tree injection. So there's a product that Coca-Cola uses in its drinks. Okay, so it's not, well, depends what you consider Coca-Cola. It's a poison, a mild poison, but we inject that poison into the tree stem, and it has a suppression action on the fungus that'll last for like a year. So because we live in this sinful world and we have trees that are wanting to die, we are stopping them from dying through using this intervention. And we hope that over time we'll get away from that just by having healthy soil. But we're not there. Yeah. Okay, our time is up. So thank you, everyone. And let's close with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you that you have made us stewards of your earth and that you have planted in us a desire to grow and to be business people, to support your work. And thank you that you have given us a place in your work where we can bless humanity around us. I pray that you will bless each individual present today, that they will seek and find answers in how to grow food your way. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. There is a Ellen White quotation. I think it's in 5 Testimonies. Ellen White says, there are many ways to practice the healing arts, but only one way that the Lord approves. And I don't think I'm stretching it too far to try and apply that quote to agriculture. There are all kinds of ways to do agriculture, but I think there's one way that the Lord must approve more than the others. And so I would encourage everyone to seek that one.
Five, 3, 8. Guide me, O thou great Jehovah. Guide me, O thou great Jehovah. 3, sing. Guide me, O thou great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. Open now the crystal fountain, once the healing stream doth flow. Let the fire and cloudy pillar lead me on my journey through. Strong deliverer, be thou still my strength and shield. Be thou still my strength and shield. When I tread the verge of Jordan, bid my anxious feet subside. Death of death and hell's destruction, land me safe on Canaan's side. Songs of
praises, songs of praises, I will ever give to thee. I will ever give to thee. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with you and continue with our presentations. So before we move to the next topic, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this another opportunity given us to continue learning how to do the ministry. And now we are talking about team building, because you called us to work as a team for your glory. I just need right words from you to be an instrument again to share with your children what you need them to do in terms of building good teams for the ministry, for their different organizations. I pray this in Jesus' name, amen. Well, we are moving to another topic. It is there, building and sustaining an effective ministry team. So I preached on the team yesterday, and I'm continuing with the same topic about teamwork, because we as a church, we know what it means to work as a team. And also as business people, we know what it means to work with a team, right team. Also in the ministry world, we need a team. Organizations, they need teams. So if you have a good team, you will be successful. But if you have a bad team, then you will fail, even though you have good ideas. We are talking about a successful team. So then I want to just give you an idea about what it means, a team. What is a team? So short definition of team, it's a number of people working together to achieve a common goal or a mission or an objective. So that's a simple way to explain a team. If somebody asks you what is a team, it's one, two or three people, or one person. If you have two people coming together, working for a common goal, or a mission, or an objective, that's a team. We have what we call a soccer team, a football team. It's a number of people. You will see 11 people on the ground playing, but behind them, they have a coach, they have all the supporters. That's a team. And all those people, you will see them running and doing all these things. They have one goal. They want to win. And how to win? You know the reality, those who love football and soccer like me. I tell you I like soccer. But I don't play it. I don't go to the ground, but I used to be a coach when I was at the college, because I just like the teamwork, the way they work as a team. And the team involves, number one, a goal. Not everybody coming with his own goal, but everybody working for one common goal. If everybody has his own goal in mind, that's not a team. It is something else. And if everybody is coming with his own mission, that is not a team. And if everybody has his own objective, that's not a team. And again, a team is a number of people who share a common goal, vision, mission, but with passion. Not only trying to achieve one goal or to work for, to fulfill one mission, a common mission, but you need to have passion on it. If you have a passion and you have that feeling that we need this to be achieved, I will do everything I can. I will give everything I have so that we may achieve this goal. And if you have two people who have the passion for a common goal, that's a team. They are building a team. You may have a group of people who are not working for a common goal. That's not a team. Because everybody is coming here for his own goal, but I know that as a church, if we believe that we exist for one common mission, then everybody will come and contribute to achieve that mission or to fulfill that mission. That's why the church becomes a team. If the church members are not coming with the passion to fulfill the common goal of preaching the gospel, then the church is just a common group or a club. Because, there's a difference between a group and a team or a club or whatever there. The social group where people just go to enjoy and to rejoice, but everybody has his own goal and his mission. And so the team is different from that. John Maxwell, who is well-known expert in the term and the field of leadership, and he has been coaching and training so many people to achieve great goals. And in a book called The Ultimate Guide to Develop Leaders, and he said that a big dream with a bad team is a nightmare. You may have a good dream, a good vision, a good goal to achieve, but if you are surrounded by bad people, they will just kill that vision. You will die before achieving what you want to do. And I was reading a book, and the author of the book said, if you have a good dream and you are surrounded by idiots, you will become yourself an idiot. Because you will start trying to solve all those problems brought to you by idiots, and then at the end of the day, you will forget about your dream. So why do we need to work, to have teams or to build teams? Because standing alone soldiers, they may be powerful, they may have skills, but they will not be able to do more if they don't work as a team. In the history of war, there's a guy who was a genius general, commander of army, and his name, you know him, Hitler. Hitler, when they tried to do research about his brain, they say that he was a phenomenal genius general, and his brain was like a machine of war. And he was maybe designed for war and for victory. And one thing about him was that he was able to make plans for war, but they tried to see that he didn't have any plan in his mind for peace. And he was a successful general. And one of his teammates made a comment that, you know, this man here is a great man. Hitler is a man of war, but I am a good friend of Hitler. I have realized that if we are able to conquer all the world with Hitler, and at the end, if there's no other person to fight for Hitler, to fight with him, he will start killing us. Because there's no space in his mind for peace. So we better lose the war than winning it with Hitler. So that was the beginning of it declining, and finally he lost the war and he killed himself because of the team. Bad team, bad people around him. So it is important to have team, but good teams. So why a team? Because the Bible says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, that it is not good that the man should be alone. I want to think about this statement, the biblical statement. It is not good for man to be alone. Then God saw that it is very important for us to work as a team. And he created a teammate for the man, the female. So, and God gave them a vision, a great vision, to fill this earth with people. Great vision. And you see, one thing is here that God said it is not good for men to be alone. Then it means it is not good to work yourself. You need a team. You need people around you. You need right people around you. And if you have right people around you, then you do more. If somebody asks me, why do I need a team? I will say the Bible tells me that it is not good for me to be alone. And why a team? Because one is a too small number to achieve greatness. If you want to achieve greatness, you need other people around you. If you want to go far, you need other people around you, actually good people. I have an acronym for team, or two of them. I want them to be on the screen for you, if we can have the slide on the screen. These are the first acronyms about the team is very interesting. Maybe it is coming up. The next slide. Team means together, everyone achieves more. That's the first one, the first acronym for team. Together, everyone achieves more. So if we are coming together for a common goal, then everyone will be equipped and encouraged to achieve more than you can do by yourself. And the second acronym about the team is totally, efficiently achieving milestone. So when you are coming together, you build a good team, and they give you efficiency to achieve the milestone. to find a way and to build a good milestone and a way to achieve a lot of things. So the benefits of a team. The team gives you more time, because right now I am in Kenya, but my team in Congo is organizing a big graduation for 600 students who have been studying the Bible. I don't need to be there. I have time to be somewhere else to do this seminar or to plan for the next level of my organization. So if you have a good team, it gives you free time to plan for more things, for other things. And it also gives you time for thinking, deep thinking, because you have people busy to do this and that, then you have more time for brainstorming, for planning, and the team gives you an opportunity to increase your production. I was amazed when Jason told us about the containers he's now shipping to India. 120 containers. That's a lot. And I cannot believe that Jason could achieve all this by himself. Once you have a good team around you, you will increase your production. And you have more people, and it creates loyalty around you. Recruiting team members, you need to recruit people. What is the process? As a Christian, the first step for me to recruit people is not just to say, hey, we are recruiting, we are hiring. Number one, I need to go to my knees. Luke chapter 6, verses 12 and 13. The Bible says, at that time, Jesus went up a hill to pray and spent the whole night there praying to God. Verse 13. When day came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he named apostles. So here's Jesus. When he came to this world, he had a mission. And he was able to achieve that mission by himself as God. He had all the power. But he decided to give us an example that if you want to do great things, you need a team. And he decided to recruit a team. So before recruiting close team members, he spent a whole night praying, asking God to help him to have right people on his team. And the following day, then he had the power, the inspiration to elect 12 people, to anoint them, to pray for them, and to give them special responsibilities. So number one, if you want, as a Christian organization, as a church, as a Christian ministry, if you want to have a good team, pray. Ask God, who knows people, to bring the right people on their way. So even the first team in history was a couple, Adam and Eve. And God provided a wife for Adam. And if we want to build a family team, the number one thing is to pray. If you want to get married, pray, ask God to give you a good partner. Because if you have a bad family team, then everything will be destroyed. You know, I worked as a pastor for 8 years, and I was single. 8 years as a single pastor. And people will say, Pastor, are you a priest? What is going on with you? I said, no, I'm not a priest. I don't have that gift to be a single, but I still believe that the Lord will give me a good wife. And I am afraid because I know that God has given me a lot, and I have a big vision, and I know what the Lord has invested in my life. So I don't like just to have any wife around me to kill my ministry. It took me 8 years praying to find a wife. I'm not encouraging you to spend that much time to pray, but I'm telling you my story. 8 years praying, afraid of ladies, afraid of women. And, when you are working as a young pastor and a successful pastor, so you will have all kind of visits. And I had those kind of visits. But I prayed, and when my time came to get married, I said, Lord, I have 21 days to find a wife. And within 21 days, please help me to find the right team member. And I was praying 9 times a day for 21 days. And at the end, I said, Lord, I was trying to date a lady, and another one came. And I said, between those two, I want you to help me to make a choice. At the end of my prayer program, the 21st day, I want you to talk to the wife you want me to marry to call me. And it was 3 p.m. I got a phone call from the one who is my wife now. And she called me politely. She said, Papa Thomas. I said, yes. Who is on the phone? And she said, it is me. I said, okay, what can I do for you? And she said, I've been praying for our relationship. And the Lord just convinced me that you will be my man. I said, what? Who told you to pray? I said, I was just praying. I said, yeah, me too, I was praying. And today was my deadline. If you did not call me, then I will spend the rest of my life as a single. So I prayed for that. And I can assure you that I have a wonderful wife. And I told you my story yesterday when I moved from my conference present position to a faith-based ministry. My wife supported me. And she has been supporting me all the way to this day. And I'm here in Kenya. She's organizing a big graduation in Congo. And she just told me, I want to see what you are doing. Send me some pictures. Because she's praying for me. She's supporting what I'm doing. So if you want to recruit team members, number 1, pray. Number 1, ask God to send the right people your way. But even if you are praying, you will recruit people. Don't just forget that I prayed and the Lord has sent me people. Because listen, Jesus prayed and he spent the whole night praying, and the next day he recruited 12 people, and one of them was a demon. Do you know that? One of them was a demon. Even though he was a demon, Jesus accepted him on the team to give him an opportunity to be changed. So even if you pray, you will still have bad people around you. Make sure that you have identified them and you know how to deal with them. Because even if they are demons, they'll still be important somehow. Because that man, the demon, was the treasure of the team, right? So he was important somehow, even though he was not with Jesus 100%. But since he joined the team, he had some responsibilities. Even though you have bad people in your team, don't hurry to send them away. Use what the Lord has given them. Even though they are bad people, they still have talents, right? They can be useful for your team. So number 2, when you have prayed, make sure that you have a right vision for what you want to do. You know exactly what you want to do, where you want to go, and have a right vision, then start selling your vision. A good vision, if you have right words to explain it to people, that good vision will attract people. Be a vision seller. You know, I had a vision to start a ministry. Before turning 40 years old, I told my wife, I have the vision to reach out to the French-speaking Africa. And my wife said, how are you going to do it? You know, I said, I just believe that there is a need to reach out to the French-speaking Africa. And I started explaining the vision to my wife. You see, Africa is big. We have 29 countries in Africa, and those countries speak French. But when I see the gospel, the church, the Seventh Adventist growth in French-speaking Africa, we need somebody to go and to start a ministry. By that time, we had 0 ministry existing in the French-speaking Africa. 0. And I told you, I shared with you some figures from some French-speaking countries like Brazzaville. Well, you have a country of over 6 million people, and by that time, they had only 3 pastors and less than 1,000 members. And most of those members were refugees from Rwanda. I said, you see, Congo Brazzaville itself need a ministry. And when you go to Senegal, 98% are Muslim, only 1 pastor. And the pastor is himself the conference president, the union president, the local church pastor, so overwhelming. He needs help. And when you go to Central Africa, you will find 5 countries put together to make 1 union. 5 countries. And I said to my wife, you see, there's a need there. So we need a ministry for the Francophones in Africa. And my wife said, okay, I will support you. And I shared the vision with other people. And finally, I told my wife, we need an international ministry. Before I turn 40 years old, I believe that the Lord will give me the opportunity to start an international ministry. And I started sharing the vision with other people abroad. And I said, the first thing is to invite missionaries to my conference. Then they will come to a city called Bukavu in eastern Congo. And I was the conference president there. And Bukavu by that time was a city of 1.2 million people. And we had only 300 Adventists. Those are statistics. And I said, something needs to be done here. My ministry will be born from the city. And I started sharing the vision. And finally, you know, some people said, it's a good vision, but Congo is dangerous. I was inviting Americans to come to Congo. Congo is dangerous. By the way, that time, M23 was already fighting in Congo. And they said, the bad thing with you is that you are in eastern Congo and M23 is there, so we cannot go to your country. I said, okay, it is good. People are dying in Congo. But I think it is very important for us to give them the good news of the kingdom before they die. I am selling the vision, right? And the lady said, what? They are dying. That's right. We need to go and to help this pastor to preach the gospel to those Congolese before they die. And guess what? The lady told another person, and the second person told the third person. And at the end, I found myself with 40 missionaries from America coming to my field. Dangerous place. And we prayed. They arrived in my place. We spent 2 weeks with them. After 2 weeks, because I was already working for the mission trip, and I trained lay people to help me in evangelism. And after 2 weeks, we doubled our membership. From 300 people, we went to 540 members, almost doubled. And they said, what is next, Pastor? I said, we need a follow-up program. And for us to do the follow-up program, I have trained lay people. They will help me to do the follow-up, and we need a ministry around them. We need to start supporting them with kind of stipend. And they said, okay, we will send you money as a stipend for those lay people. And that was the beginning of my ministry, Train Them to Fish. And now, Train Them to Fish is an international organization based in America. I have a team there in the U.S. They told me, yes, the ministry is born, but come to America and help us to know how we could help you for a long time. I went to America, and I went to Andrews University to meet with the World Mission people. And I said, I want to establish a ministry in America. They say, you from Congo, you cannot do it here. Number one, nobody knows you. Number two, your country is too corrupted. And number three, you don't have money to establish an American-based non-profit because you need money to pay an accountant. You need to hire a lot of people around you. And please don't try to do it. You just join existing organization. I said, yes, it is good to join existing organization, but listen, those organizations, they have their own goals, their own vision, their own missions. But my vision is focusing on French-speaking Africa. I don't see another organization doing it. And say, you are right, but I don't know if you will make it. And he said, let me pray for you. He prayed for me. And while he was praying, the Holy Spirit told him that there is a person at the corner who will help that crazy Congolese. And he stopped the prayer. I said, I don't need to continue praying. I have the answer. And he gave me all the information. And I went to see a lady who did assist me to recruit team members. And it took me 2 months to recruit my team members in America. And now I don't need to be in the U.S. They are doing the job, and I'm in Africa. Because I prayed. So if you sell a right vision, that right vision will attract people to come and to join you. Be a good vision business person. Make sure that you know what you want to do and how to do it, and tell people about what you want to do, and the right people will come. Then you need, once you have people, you need to train them. You need to feed your people's mind with good and right information. Then you need to develop your people's skill to do what you want them to do. That's a training. So, 3 main reasons people fail to do their job. Number 1, lack of ability or desire to do the job. Number 2, lack of proper training to do the job. Number 3, lack of understanding of their job description. So if people, even if you sell the vision to them and they join you, but you need to make sure that they have the right abilities or the desire to do the job, to work with you. It requires a training. And you need to have a proper job description when you are recruiting people. Then they do what you want them to do. How you can retain team members for your ministry. John Maxwell again says, the best way is this saying on the screen. I do it. You start doing the job. And I do it, and you are with me. Let people be around you when they see you doing things. You do it, and I am with you. You are giving them time to start practicing what you want them to do. And then you give them some responsibility to do it. You are kind of doing a delegation. And you have trained them, they have seen what you are doing, and you have done it with them, and then you have given them an opportunity to do it. Now you are going to the coaching role. They are doing it, and you are watching them. You are coaching them. Then it's ask them to keep doing it. As a coach, you have trained them, you have equipped them, and you have given them an opportunity. The first time when they do it, they will make mistakes. Okay? That's why you see, you do it twice. You do it, and again you do it. Because the first time, they can make mistakes. Accept the mistakes. Because we grow and we learn from our mistakes. You do it, and I watch. And I help you for the second time to do it. Because I did help you for the first time to learn from the mistakes. The second time, you are not going to repeat those mistakes. Right? And then you do it, and someone else is with you. You are trying to multiply yourself. You have coached one person, and the person is a professional, and he's becoming a next coach. So you are building a next generation for your ministry because you want your ministry to last even more than you. It is a disaster to bury our children. Right? We want to have children and to see them growing, and then when time will come, we want to grow old, and we will die, and it will be a privilege for us to be buried by our children. But it is a disaster to go and to see our children dying and as parents burying them. Same thing with organizations and ministries. It is a disaster to start a ministry and to see it dying before you die yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so when we put ministries, we need to think about the future of those ministries. That's why we need to train people, the next generation. Not only recruiting team members, but identify key people among your team members and start investing on them. Those who are key, make sure that tomorrow I may retire and leave my organization to somebody else. And if people realize that you are investing in the future other people, they will say, oh, this is not an individual organization. This organization will last longer. If they see that it's not just your personal thing, you are putting a ministry, and the ministry means other people, right? We put this organization here because we want to minister to other people. With or without me, I want this ministry to continue. And share that vision clearly from what you are doing, from what you are saying. If people realize that this ministry is not just for this person, they will have more interest to work with you. More interest. And there are some 6 ways to convince someone to collaborate with you. This one is taken from an article written by Dory Clark, Collaborative Team, page 47. And this author is giving us 6 ways to convince people or to convince someone to collaborate with you. Number 1, you need to have what we call a sweet equity. Sweet equity. You provide the soft and let your team build the hard on it. Here is a computer. The computer has a software and hardware. You as the founder of the ministry, come up with the software ideas, software, the vision, what you want to do. And let your team give you ideas and more strategies how you will do it or you can do it together. So you are giving them the ownership of the ministry. And in other words, write the book and let your team to edit it. Because you have given them the contents. And they are trying to help you to edit the book. And when they are editing the book, they have all the content with them. And they will continue to do the work together. That's what we call the sweet equity. Number 2, subject matter knowledge. Provide an appealing offer where people feel proud to share their knowledge an appealing offer. You know, an example from my ministry. I went to the general conference and I found one of the undersecretaries there. He's a French-speaking person from Madagascar. I said, man, Elder, do you know that we have great needs in French-speaking countries in terms of evangelism? And he said, yes. So, do you know that I've been involved in developing strategies and goals to reach out to the French-speaking people? He said, yes. So I said, you have a good position to help us to move forward in the ministry of reaching out to the French-speaking people. And he said, you know, I'm busy at the general conference. No, I'm asking you to join my ministry. But I want you to help me to talk to other French-speaking people to join what we are doing. And he said, okay, the best way for me to do is you organize mission trips every year in a French-speaking country, and I'll be going with you. And he has been going with me for 40 years. As I gave him an appeal offer, and he saw the importance of it, and he felt proud to be part of such a thing. And we went with him for the first time in Gabon, Libreville, and we found that the whole country of Gabon, they don't have any radio station. And he said, I'll be proud to raise money and to give some of my money to start a radio station here. So he was proud to be part of that ministry, that work, that activity. So give people an opportunity to make sure that they are proud to be involved in what you are doing. Number 3, process knowledge. This is where I am with this appealing project. You have the knowledge to take it to the higher level. So I just saw the need to start sponsoring orphans in my country, because Congo alone has over 3 million orphans. And I went to share the vision. And I said to a friend who has been leading a successful ministry sponsoring children around the world. And I told him, you know, I am an orphan and I don't have money. And my ministry mainly is to train people to do evangelism. But in my country, we have so many orphans. And now I have been raising money to sponsor 55 orphans. So that's my limit. But the need is so great. And I cannot go forward. I cannot do more than what I'm doing now. And they said, we know about Congo. So if you are limited, I can help you to build not only an orphanage, but I will help you to raise money to build a children's center. Share with people where you are. You are limited. And tell them, I discovered that you have more knowledge to take me to the next level. And they'll be happy to join you. Number 4, connections. Prove that you have a robust network at your disposal. Networking. When you are coming to people, let them know that you are not just limited, you have a connection. You have people who knows you. You have people who can support you. And when they see the network, they'll be proud to be part of that network. So as a leader, as a founder, you need to have a network before you do anything. So in the business world, we said, if you want to be successful in a business, please make sure that you have a good network. Because network will help you to have more information. And when somebody sees that you are connected to right people, they will easily join you. Number 5, access to funding. This is not necessary to provide cash, but in hand, but you have a good deal in your bag. It means that you are expecting great results ahead. Access to fund. You are selling a vision, and access to fund does not mean exactly to give people stipend or salaries. But let them know that if you join my team and if you give your best to build this ministry, see the results. I have an example for you there on the screen. The example is a challenge given by Steve Jobs to John Scully. Steve Jobs is the founder of Apple. And he had a good vision for Apple to change the world. And he was able to compete with Nokia, all those existing big companies. And he said, I know what to do. Please, can you move backward? Yeah, I think we are there. And he just identified the person who could help him to move to the next level. And that person was John Scully. By that time, in 1983, John Scully was the CEO of Pepsi, a multi-million organization. So,
sorry, we have to interrupt the program. This room was double booked, so we've been assigned another room. So if we could just take our belongings, and we'll be directed to another room, just up these stairs. It's labeled children's room. Then we'll be able to complete the program there. Sorry about that. Apologies.